the platform for integrating blockchain in any business. I'm Vincent Le Gallic, the CTO and co-founder, and this is Frédéric de Matos, VP Engineering. For our talk, we have been working on meta transactions for several months, and to talk about this exciting subject, we imagine a game. This game is EthCC. It's a reference to Def Jam, if you know the famous hip-hop label. This game is a trading game. You can trade blockchain card on the blockchain. A quick presentation of our main characters. Let me introduce you Leah, the developer, and Alice, the end user. Let's do a little focus on Leah's profile. As Leah, I'm a full stack developer. I'm completely novice on Ethereum. My goal are focus on my use case and create a seamless user experience for my user, and I need to go fast. As Leah, because of my previous developer experience, I believe that a simple API must exist on Ethereum. For example, I already use Stripe, and I don't have to manage credit cards or banking protocol. It's very simple and a safe system, and it's exactly what I'm looking for. Leah is very confident for now. She decided to test some famous application on Ethereum ecosystem. For Coinbase, it's not Ethereum ecosystem, but she decided to try. She decided to test Pool Together, the no-loss lottery. She decided to test Sora, the global fantasy football, soccer game, and Argent, the mobile wallet with integrated DeFi service. Let's start by Coinbase. For Leah, it's very easy to use. It's like a traditional application, but there is a full custodial. Leah must trust Coinbase. For Pool Together, it's very interesting because it's fully non-custodial, but it requires an external onboarding solution, like MetaMask or Fortmatic or another wallet solution. Sora is this use case is very similar to EthCC. So it's a classic onboarding with email, password, nickname, but you can take the control of your asset later by connecting your MetaMask account. So it's interesting concept. And finally, Argent. It's a kind of improved wallet. The onboarding is very simple. There is a censorship resistant, and there is a fully non-custodian. But Leah is very lost because 4 applications, 4 different onboarding solutions. How to choose a solution for each gem? Each wallet solution claims to be the best, and I didn't want to spend so much time, and I decided, as Leah, I decided to be user-centric and focus on the need of Alice, my end user. So as Alice, I want to trade my favorite rappers card game in my iPhone, because I'm a mobile-first generation. Gas, keys, nodes, I don't know what it is, and it's not my subject. And I like the idea of don't trust EthCC. I like the idea of having real ownership of my cards. To summarize, as Leah, the developer, I don't want to impose an external wallet solution to my user. I want to build a decentralized solution, so non-custodian solution. And if my user have to pay some gas or need crypto to use my service, I'm sure that my conversion rate will be too low. So this is my constraint. I think we are going for the implementation step. So I think everything will be fine, right, Frédéric?
I hope so too, and Leah too. So what about the gas problem? Actually, for Alice, buying crypto for gas is too complicated. She don't know what is gas, and she actually don't want to know about it. So Leah will have to handle that problem. So recently, she just go to internet trying to find some solution how she can help Alice with the gas, and she found that meta-transaction should be a good solution for this problem. So what actually are meta-transaction? It's like a transaction, but the user will not directly send a transaction. He will just send a transaction intent, that will be a message, that will contain the parameter of the transaction he want to do, with the addition of a smart contract. So the transaction will be actually executed by the smart contract. The user sign the parameter, send it to a relayer. The relayer will encapsulate the transaction inside another transaction, and then call the smart contract. To be a little more clear, we have something like that. So the user needs to have a wallet or an EOA. An EOA is what we call external owned account. Is the traditional account on Ethereum. Is the couple public and private key. So the user of his EOA, he will want to call a method on SGEM contract. So the data will be the method you want to call. Using the parameter and his EOA, he will sign the message, send the message to the relayer. The relayer will construct the transaction. The transaction will contain the parameter of the intention of the user, the signature. The relayer sends the transaction to the proxy contract, so he pays for the gas, and then the proxy contract will execute the transaction. And the transaction will appear as inner transaction. If you look at EthCC, you can see some part is inner transaction, and you can see the user transaction intention. And then the SGEM method contract is called. Actually, that is a model of implementation, but there is still another model. Here we have a proxy contract that is in charge of executing the transaction. But the meta-transaction capabilities also can be directly in an SGEM contract, but we choose that model. So for the first part, Alice needs to have a way to sign a message. So she needs to have a wallet or an EOA. So what are the available solutions? Let Alice use external wallet. Leah can manage the user's key inside her backend, or she can integrate a wallet inside her mobile application. For the first solution, external wallet, today have a lot of existing solutions such as Fortmatic, Portis, even MetaMask is some choice. That will require really few development for Leah, because today with some tool like Web3 Connect, it's quite easy to interact with different kind of wallet without having to manage the complexity. So for the developer, it will just have to prepare the message, send the message to the wallet of the user, and then the user will just validate and sign the message, and then the transaction can be executed. That's quite good for Leah, but for the user, they will have to create a wallet on an external services. So during a registration flow, you can lose some user because they have to leave your services to go to another third-part service to create their wallet. Second solution is Leah can decide to manage all the key of the user inside her backend. That will be simple for the user. They even don't know they have key. That can compare to good old Web 2.0 internet services. The user just connects using his email and password, and then everything is managed on the backend. So by design, it will be multi-device, because I can connect on my mobile and the browser is the same. So for the user, it's quite simple. But Leah have a problem with that. On her philosophy, blockchain should be decentralized, and she don't want to have access to her user key. Also, if she decides to do that, she will have some security challenge. Where will she store the key? Did she use an HSM, store in the database? Will she encrypt the data? If she encrypts the data, where the encryption key will be stored? So we'll have more and more questions to answer. With the complex solution, she will have to do complex development, and so make her software can come out later. Last solution is to integrate a wallet inside the client app. So that is that respect what wants Leah. She likes to be non-custodial, so she cannot access the key of the user. It will be simple for the user. They just have to install EthCC application, and they have a wallet inside. And it's adapted to mobile because today, whether you are on iOS or Android, you will have access to a secure enclave. So that is adapted for mobile. But the inconvenience it will be she will have to develop a wallet for iOS and Android, and to store the private key. Signing on mobile is not as simple as in JavaScript. JavaScript, you have Web3.js or Ethereum.js that is really convenient to use. For mobile, there is no such library existing today. And the question is about recovery, but we'll talk about that later. What happens if Alice lost or broke her phone? And for the browser, like we said, mobile have a secure enclave, but browser don't have such solution. So what Alice will decide for, Leah will decide for Alice. Actually, Alice mainly uses her phone. She seldom uses a computer on a browser. She don't want to manage key. And to respect Leah's wish to be decentralized and non-custodian, she decided to build a wallet inside her application. So we just answer of the wallet question. So right now, let's talk about the relayer. So with meta transaction, Leah will be in charge of sending all the transactions of her user. So we can say that with great power comes great responsibility. So it will be, she will have some complex development to do. If her service has success, she will have to handle a lot of transactions. And on Ethereum node, we have something like we call the pending transaction limit. For example, for one given account on Guess, the limit is to 64. So the queue of a node cannot handle more than 64 pending transactions for a given account. So if she wants to handle a lot of transactions, her relayer will have to manage different accounts so she can scale the number of transactions she wants to execute. Still in the question of performance, she will have to manage the nonce. So the nonce is some system provided by Ethereum to avoid replay attack. So the nonce can be considered as an ID of a transaction. So for one account, for each transaction, the nonce will be incremented. So you cannot replay a transaction if it was already executed. So for that, for the nonce, she will have to manage a queue for the different accounts of her wallet, and each transaction should be ordered and provided with a good nonce. That can lead some problem of synchronization. Sometimes the nonce she have locally can differ from the nonce that is actually on the blockchain, so she has synchronization problem, and she need to correctly manage the error. If a transaction fails, she shouldn't increment the nonce. That can lead to some problem. Another part is transaction status, because actually we have two kinds of transaction. We can consider we have two kinds of transaction. The main transaction that is sent by the relayer, that is the real transaction, and inside we have the inner transaction, that is the intent of the user. And that both transactions have an independent status. So, for example, if she just focuses on the main transaction status, there can have some error and she don't know. So that can lead to her application to don't work correctly. So she needs to define a strategy, how to synchronize the two status. And that's why she will have to find some strategy to correctly synchronize the inner and the main transaction. So if the transaction fails, she will also have to provide some retry system to be sure that the transaction is executed. Last part, because she have account to manage for her layer, she need to manage gets, so she need to follow with the balance of the different account. She will have to buy crypto, and she will have to store the account. The account will contain Ether, so she need to securely store the account, maybe with an HSM, with a database, and that is up to her, but she need to find a solution. So we'll talk about the raw layer. So now let's talk about proxy smart contract. Before directly speaking about the smart contract, we need to decide something. Where will be the identity of the user represented? Where the asset will be owned? Will be owned by the EOA, or there will be owned by the smart contract. If she decides to use the EOA as identity, that is quite simple. She don't have contract to deploy. An EOA can sign message. You always need to sign message, so that is important. So the EOA will always be needed. But the problem of an EOA is if it's lost or stolen, you cannot recover. If it's exposed to an attacker, the asset cannot be recovered. Another part is with meta transaction. Because the sender will not be the identity of the user, you need to adapt your contract, for example, the ERC20, to work with the meta transaction and to define another sender. And by default, it's not multi-device, because if you want to share your key with your browser or your phone, you need to copy the key on each device. For the smart contract as identity, that provides some recovery. The EOA can be replaced, the owner can be replaced. By design, is a backup because it's backuped because it's on chain. It directly works with standard because the sender will be the real owner of the asset. If you want to have more devices, you can add more EOA, one for each device. And if you want to add feature to the identity, for example, we can think about limiting the number of transactions that can be for one day. It's possible because it's a smart contract. The counterpart is that need to deploy a contract. So to have your user will have a cost. Today they will not really have standard, so you will need to look for the different solution and find the one is matched with your need, or develop your own solution. And the contract does not sign message. But for Leah, it seems essentially for the recovery concern, she thinks she will use the contract as identity. So she begins to look for the market, what is available online. Is there some standard for meta transaction? No. People speak about proxy, smart wallet, identities. She's quite lost. She finds Gnosis Safe, that she thinks is really good. It's a HD wallet with multi-sig capabilities. That seems really good, but a little complicated and doing more things that she actually needs. She also finds the Austin Griffin Bouncer proxy. That is actually we can say the first implementation of meta transaction. That is really clear and simple. Thanks to that, she understands how really work the meta transaction. She continued to look. She found the ERC 1768-66, the UPort X relay. Both seems really good, but it's really hard to decide. You can go to look by yourself to make your own advice. But for Leah, it's not simple. She finds two things not really related with meta transaction. The first one is the EIP 725. Is a desire of standard the identity on Ethereum. Actually, it's a proxy smart contract that can be controlled by one or multiple key, and that can provide transaction execution. For her, it seems really simple and corresponds to her needs, so she probably will use that. Another interesting thing is the EIP 712. Before, when the user has to sign a message, he just sees some not really friendly hexadecimal chain and don't really know what he's signing. With the EIP 712, if the wallet implements the standard, he can clearly see what he's going to sign. So for Leah, it seems to go in the good way, so she thinks she wants to use that for her contract. So at the end, she didn't find what she was looking for. She was looking for an already packaged solution. But that matter, she will go on a AIP 725 with meta-transaction capabilities inspired from the bouncer proxy, and she will structure her message using the EIP 712. So she have a contract, but that's not all she didn't finish to solve problem. What happened if Alice broke her phone? How can she get back her rapper's card? So she have actually 3 solutions. The good old 12 world can authorize other key on the contract, or another one like social recovery, some solutions that were already implemented by Argent. So the good old 12 worlds that everybody know, when you know blockchain, you know the 12 worlds. But that is not really simple when you are in a mobile context. For example, you are with a friend on a restaurant, you speak about the super cool application, EthGem, you just installed and you want to share with your friend. They don't have paper or pen, and when they come to the step to write down their 12 words, they try to make a screenshot and just realize that the application does not allow screenshot. So we just close the application, say, okay, we do it at home, and probably never come back to finish the registration. Like we said, we have a smart contract that can be owned by different key. So another solution will be to allow other wallets, such as MetaMask or Ledger Wallet. With Ledger Wallet, you will have a good level of security. And if you broke your phone, you still have 2 other keys that can control your contract, so you don't lose your assets. But the problem is Alice is a not really advanced user, and she don't really want to have a wallet on a Ledger or on MetaMask. Last one, maybe the more sexy one, is the social recovery. Actually, that is based on trust. So when Alice registers on the EthGem, she has the possibility to define some what we can call guardian. She has 2 good friends that also use EthGem, so she can define Jack and Peter as a guardian. So if one day she broke her phone, she can start a recovery process, and Peter and Jack will have to confirm Alice's identity. If they confirm, she can get back the power on her contract. But because you don't always have friends using the same system as you, the same services as you, Leah will probably have to develop her own guardian system. Because she knows Alice's email on phone, she can provide some services with multi-factor authentication to help Alice to recover her contract. We speak about EthGem, but we can imagine that other company can provide a guardian system to help others to get back control on their contract. So Alice, she don't want to manage key. Don't worry, 12 world, she don't want to. So our poor Leah will also have to develop that complex system, guardian-like system. So if Leah wants to meet all Alice's expectations, she will have to work hard, and she will have to build EthGem mobile application, build EthGem backend, develop EthGem contract, develop and deploy smart contract for users, develop a wallet for her mobile application, develop a relayer to send user transaction, develop a recovery system, have access to the blockchain, buy crypto or token to pay the gas. At that time, Leah feels really depressed. She thinks, oh my God, I have a lot of things to do. Actually, she just wants to focus on what have value for her mobile application, her backend, her contract. For her, other parts are just plumbing. She has to do it because today there is no standard on Ethereum for that part, but her value is not here. So that's why we built Rockside.
Thank you, Frederic. Yes, Rockside. Our goal is to create a first-class developer experience. We want to push a solution consistent with decentralized technology, and our culture is try to solve real problem. It's why we focus on a feature that have added value for the end user. Just to one line about Rockside, the solution is based on meta transaction. It's a kind of decorated Web3 provider. For developer, you don't need node, no key, no gas, and for the end user, it's fully non-custodian, and it's a completely invisible and white label solution. The three main features of our API is deploy identity smart contract, relay messages with meta transaction, and manage the gas. And about our SDK, the SDK sign messages on iOS, for example, and send gasless transaction. We asked a question, it's time to try to answer Pandora box of weapon of mass adoption. First, the subject is very large and in constant evolution. For example, these recent initiatives are very good. And as developer, you need to check gas station network and the last post of MetaMask about meta transaction. In my opinion, it's still a bit difficult for non-blockchain expert to implement this solution, but it's absolutely necessary to check this solution. So, depending on the maturity of the user, external wallet solution will emerge or not. Thanks to my bank, for example, multi-factor authentication is becoming mainstream because I think wallet is not external wallet like MetaMask is not necessarily an obstacle to adoption, but nothing is obvious. We don't know. Here are some things to consider when you try to using meta transaction. Is not the perfect solution, and there are still challenges to overcome. I have listed some limitations here. You must know this limitation, but often we think when you try to build a non-custodian application for your end user, meta transactions are the best solution. Here are some pro-meta transaction arguments. We talked about it a lot during our presentation. I'm not going back in details on it, but just remember that it's a powerful concept, not easy to implement, and it could be the weapon of mass adoption of Ethereum. We hope the meta transactions are something clearer for you now. And if you have some questions, don't hesitate. We are live today. We have some startup, and we work with industry leaders on this subject. We have some trial API key if you want to try our service, and we will be very happy to have your feedback. So don't hesitate to test our product. Maybe we have time for a question, I think. So.
Yeah,
okay.
handle the microphone.
Okay. Do you have any question?
Okay, you choose. Okay.
How do you work with stablecoins like Make or Die?
Yeah. Actually, that is based on some wallet. So actually, that is because it's a contract that can work with other contract directly. So it will be compatible with MakerDAO. Actually, we also can provide some RAM services to buy the crypto and help the user to access to the crypto.
Yes, I think you can store your asset on your proxy contract because often it's your identity on chain. So today we don't provide any system to convert fiat to crypto, but tomorrow maybe we can include a service like Wire or Loom, no, c'est pas Loom, MoonPay, because I think tomorrow all users want to store value on the identity smart contract. Maybe a question. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that question about Relayer.
Yeah.
What are the incentives?
What are the what?
Incentives of the Relayer.
Actually, depending on the implementation, we believe maybe for Leah, she not really have incentive. So her incentive is the user use her services, so she will not have some compensation for holding the transaction. But I think you maybe refer to the GSN with the rewards for the relayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That just is a choice of implementation. Actually, you have some choice. You want to provide can use different relayer and depend on the GSN system. So you will have to provide rewards to the relayer. But in the case of Leah, her reward is her user use her services, so she don't need to have rewards.
I think the good example is Argent. Argent pay the gas only for user for Argent services. And the business model is not based on the gas, is based on fees on the services like DAO or do you understand or not? The gas is not a business model in my mind. The business model are in smart contract. And if I pay the gas because I want more user on my DApp. So my business model is not make a commission on the transaction fees. So
No, I mean, Relay pays for the transaction to be sent to the network. User doesn't have gas, doesn't have Ether.
Yeah.
So who
in our example, the relayer is EthCC. So it's like a normal web application. I pay the host of my website, and when my user make a request on my website, I pay the cost of Amazon, or because my business model is not on the fees on the network fees. Maybe it's not clear. No. Oh, okay.
Anyway, we can discuss it.
Okay. Maybe we can continue.
Other question? No.
What do you think about replaying meta transactions as to ensure for the users that his meta transaction is applied to the chain where it failed the first time it was applied?
Yeah, depend the reason of the failure, but if is missing some gas to execute the transaction, that it should be good reason to replay it. If is the transaction that is not well, so if there is no reason to replay the transaction. But if it's just for, you can see infrastructure problem, so like gas, that is important point to can replay the transaction by raising up the gas. Another one? No? Okay. Thanks to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Essayer de vulgariser au maximum. Merci beaucoup.
Je connaissais pas du tout.
Bah écoute, bon courage pour la DMA. J'espère t'avoir comme futur utilisateur du coup.
Bah ouais, avec grand plaisir. Sinon, vous cherchez des stagiaires ou pas?
Ouais, pourquoi pas.
Ouais,
t'es
une
développeur.
carte. Ouais,
Mon nom c'est Vincent, si tu veux Vincent à Truckside.io, je reçois
Ouais,
des emails.
non, ok. Ouais, ça roule. Non, mais t'inquiète, il n'y a pas de soucis, t'as votre carte.
Bah avec plaisir.